Hey there, welcome back. We've got some breaking news reaching us. Manchester City and the Premier League have settled a dispute relating to the league's associated party transaction rules. So I've got Chief Correspondent Kaveh Solokol to join me on set to explain this. Kaveh, what has happened?
I mean, this is one of the most complicated stories I think we've covered here on Sky Sports News.
That's why we've got you on.
But basically, what has happened this afternoon is that at the same time, the Premier League and Manchester City have both announced that they have agreed a settlement over the Premier League's associated party transaction rules. Now, under the settlement, Manchester City accept that the current associated party transaction rules are valid and binding. Of course, this is a really complicated story. I don't know how much time you've got, but it all started around the time of Newcastle United's takeover by the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund. What happened is around that time, the other Premier League clubs were concerned that these new investors in Newcastle United were going to do lots of associated party transaction deals. That means doing deals with companies that are linked to your owners. So these APT rules were tightened up. And then Manchester City tried to do some new commercial deals with, I think, Etihad Airways and also a bank in Abu Dhabi. Now, these deals were blocked by the Premier League under their APT rules. Now, Manchester City didn't take no for an answer. They challenged those rules, and they won some very significant legal victories because I remember last year one tribunal found, for instance, that aspects of the rules were unlawful. And Manchester City at the time saw this as a big legal victory. And then what the Premier League did is they went away and they amended their rules. They changed them in the way that the tribunal has suggested the rules were unlawful. But still, Manchester City didn't take that, didn't accept that. They challenged that as well and said, look, it's not good enough just tweaking the rules a little bit. The rules are unlawful. So Manchester City all along have been challenging these rules, and today we have found out that an agreement has been reached, a settlement has been reached, whereby City do now accept that the rules in their current form, the amended form, are valid and binding. Of course, what's interesting now is whether Manchester City resubmit the proposed deals that they had in place with Etihad Airways and the bank in Abu Dhabi, for instance, because obviously that would be a major benefit for them commercially, and they would say these are deals that are fair market value. That was the issue, actually. Under the APT rules, I think the Premier League found that the deals that Manchester City wanted to do were not at fair market value. Because if you want to do a deal with an associated party, you've got to prove that it's fair market value. You can't just make up a number.
No.
And I remember that Manchester City argued that the rules were unlawful because they didn't include shareholder loans. Because you had the situation where quite a few club owners were lending their own clubs money and charging no interest. And Manchester City made the very valid point that, hey, that's not fair market value, getting a loan at 0% interest. These shareholder loans should also be included in the APT case. So it's a hugely complicated issue. It's good to see you're still awake.
I'm still awake. I think you broke it down very well.
I'm trying my best because it's
very well
breaking and it's hugely complicated.
Yes.
And normally when I start talking about APT rules, the people I'm talking to normally just lose interest and start falling asleep.
No,
but
you've
you,
done well.
to be
You've
fair,
kept my interest.
you, to be fair, are interested.
I am. Just to clarify, OK, this has got nothing to do with the 115 charges. That is separate.
Absolutely, totally separate. This is a totally separate issue, nothing to do with that whatsoever.
OK, Kaveh, thanks ever so much.